earlier. To navigate through the command history, just use up arrow or down arrow. By right-clicking in the interpreter window, you also have several other options, such as copy the entire history, useful when you want to experiment with things before making a full script of them, or insert a file name with complete path. Python Help. In the FreeCAD Help menu, you'll find an entry labeled Automatic Python Modules Documentation, which will open a browser window containing a complete, real-time generated documentation of all Python modules available to the FreeCAD interpreter, including Python and FreeCAD built-in modules, system-installed modules, and FreeCAD additional modules. The documentation available there depends on how much effort each module developer put into documenting his code, but Python modules have a reputation for being fairly well documented. Your FreeCAD window must stay open for this documentation system to work. The entry Python Scripting Documentation will give you a quick link to the Power Users Hub wiki section. Built-in modules. Since FreeCAD is designed so that it can also be run without a graphical user interface, almost all its functionality is separated into two groups: core functionality, named app, and GUI functionality, named GUI. These two modules can also be accessed from scripts outside of the interpreter by the names FreeCAD and FreeCAD GUI, respectively. In the app module, you'll find everything related to the application itself, like methods for opening or closing files, and to the documents, like setting the active document or listing their contents. In the GUI module, you'll find tools for accessing and managing GUI elements, like the workbenches and their toolbars, and, more interestingly, the graphical representation of all FreeCAD content. Listing the content of these modules is not very useful because they grow quite fast as FreeCAD develops, but the two browsing tools provided, the class browser and the Python help, should give you complete and up-to-date documentation at any moment. The app and GUI objects. As already mentioned, in FreeCAD, everything is separated into core and representation. This includes the 3D objects. You can access defining properties of objects, called features in FreeCAD, via the app module, and change the way they are represented on screen via the GUI module. For example, a cube has properties that define it, like width, length, height, that are stored in an app object, and representation properties, like faces color, drawing mode, that are stored in a corresponding GUI object. This way of doing things allows a very wide range of uses, like having algorithms work only on the definition part of features, without the need to care about any visual part, or even redirect the content of the document to non-graphical application, such as lists, spreadsheets, or element analysis. For every app object in your document, there exists a corresponding GUI object. In fact, the document itself has both an app and a GUI object. This, of course, only applies when you run FreeCAD with its full interface. In the command line version, no GUI exists, so only app objects are available. Note that the GUI part of objects is regenerated every time an app object is marked as to be recomputed, for example, when one of its parameters changes. So any changes made directly to the GUI object may be lost. To access the app part of something, you type myObject assigned app.activeDocument.getObject, open paren, double quote, object name, double quote, close paren, where double quote, object name, double quote, is the name of your object. You can also type myObject assigned app.activeDocument.objectName. To access the GUI part of the same object, you type myViewObject assigned GUI.activeDocument.getObject, open paren, double quote, object name, double quote, close paren, where double quote, object name, double quote, is the name of your object. You can also type myViewObject assigned app.activeDocument.objectName.viewObject. If you are in command line mode and have no GUI, the last line will return none. The document objects. In FreeCAD, all your work resides inside documents. A document contains your geometry and can be saved to a file. Several documents can be opened at the same time. The document, like the geometry contained inside, has app and GUI objects. The app object contains your actual geometry definitions, while the GUI object contains the different views of your document. You can open several windows, each one viewing your work with a different zoom factor or from a different direction. These views are all part of your document's GUI object. To access the app part of the currently open, active document, you type My Document assigned app.activeDocument. To create a new document, type My Document assigned app.newDocument, open paren, double quote, document name, double quote, close paren. To access the GUI part of the currently open, active document, you type My GUI Document assigned GUI.ActiveDocument. To access the current view, you type My View assigned GUI.ActiveDocument.ActiveView. Using additional modules. The FreeCAD and FreeCAD GUI modules are only responsible for creating and managing objects in the FreeCAD document. They don't actually do anything more, such as creating or modifying geometry. This is because that geometry can be of several types, and therefore requires additional modules, each responsible for managing a certain geometry type. For example, the part workbench, using the Open Cascade kernel, is able to create and manipulate BREP type geometry, whereas the mesh workbench is able to build and modify mesh objects. In this manner, FreeCAD is able to handle a wide variety of object types that can all coexist in the same document, and new types can easily be added in the future. Creating objects. Each module has its own way of dealing with geometry, but one thing they usually all can do is create objects in the document. But the FreeCAD document is also aware of the available object types provided by the modules. FreeCAD.ActiveDocument.SupportedTypes, open paren, close paren, will list all possible objects you can create. For example, let's create a mesh handled by the Mesh module and a part handled by the Part module. My mesh assigned FreeCAD.ActiveDocument.AddObject, open paren, double quote, mesh feature, double quote, comma, double quote, my mesh name, double quote, close paren. My part assigned FreeCAD.ActiveDocument.AddObject, open paren, double quote, part, feature, double quote, comma, double quote, my part name, double quote, close paren. The first argument is the object type. The second, the name of the object. Our two objects look almost the same. They don't contain any geometry yet, and most of their properties are the same when you inspect them with dir, open paren, my mesh, close paren, and dir, open paren, my part, close paren. Except for one thing, my mesh has a mesh property and my part has a shape property. That is where the mesh and part data are stored. For example, let's create a part cube and store it in our my part object. Import part, cube, assigned part.makebox, open paren 2, 2, 2, close paren, my part.shape, assigned cube. You could try storing the cube inside the mesh property of the my mesh object, but it will return an error. That is because each properties is made to store only a certain type. In a mesh property, you can only save stuff created with the mesh module. Note that most modules also have a shortcut to add their geometry to the document. Import part, cube assigned part.makebox, open paren 2, 2, 2, close paren, part.show, open paren cube, close paren. Modifying objects. Modifying an object is done in the same way. Import part, cube assigned part.makebox, open paren 2, 2, 2, close paren, my part.shape, assigned cube. Now let's change the shape by a bigger one. Bigger cube assigned part.makebox, open paren 5, 5, 5, close paren, my part.shape, assigned bigger cube. Querying objects. You can always look at the type of an object like this. My obj assigned FreeCAD.ActiveDocument.getObject, open paren, double quote, my object name, double quote, close paren, print, open paren, my object dot type ID, close paren. Or check if an object is derived from one of the basic ones, part feature, mesh feature, etc. Print, open paren, my obj dot is derived from, open paren, double quote, part, colon, colon, feature, double quote, close paren, close paren. Now you can really start playing with FreeCAD. For a complete list of available modules and their tools, visit the Category API section.